The teenage boy slouched in his chair, laughing loudly, almost defiantly, as Judge Judy stared him down. "So you can't ruin anything for me," he sneered, voice echoing through the courtroom. The room froze. Cameras zoomed in. Her expression didn't flinch, but her eyes burned. "You think this is a joke, young man?" she asked, her tone colder than marble. He smirked. But by the time she finished speaking, he wasn't smiling anymore. Because what Judge Judy did next didn't just silence him. It changed everything. She reached beneath the bench, pulled out a sealed envelope, and handed it to the bailiff. Inside was a signed motion, recommending the boy be tried as an adult, and that was just the beginning. The sealed envelope sat on the edge of the evidence table, its corners creased as if holding its breath. The bailiff placed it down gently, a gesture of quiet ceremony, while the courtroom hummed with that strange mixture of curiosity and discomfort only Judge Judy's courtroom could hold. Tyler Green leaned back in his chair, sneakers scuffed, hoodie halfway unzipped, posture practically shouting defiance. He chuckled, tossing a glance toward the audience gallery like this was all part of the show. A few people whispered. A camera light blinked red. Judge Judy didn't blink. "Your Honor," the clerk began softly, "this is the motion you requested." Judge Judy nodded, eyes still fixed on the boy. "Thank you." Her voice didn't need volume to command silence. It carried something sharper, disappointment disguised as calm. The teen tilted his head. "So what's in the envelope?" "A lecture." He smirked. His mother, sitting behind him, flinched. She whispered, "Tyler, please." Judy finally spoke. "You think this is a game, don't you?" He shrugged, spreading his arms in mock innocence. "It's TV, right? Cameras, lights, people laughing. Sure feels like one." The camera caught the moment her expression didn't change, but something in the air did. The audience could feel it. The invisible shift between irritation and authority. "Mr. Green," she said, enunciating each syllable as though carving it in marble, "what happens here is not entertainment. It's accountability." Tyler snorted, unable to stop himself. "Okay, but what's the big deal? Nobody got hurt." That sentence hung there like smoke. Judge Judy slowly rose from her chair. The creak of wood echoed in the silence. "Not hurt?" she repeated, the words icy. "You humiliated a woman twice your age. You made her pain into your popularity." Tyler looked away, jaw tight, but eyes betraying a flicker of uncertainty. The audience leaned forward, waiting, sensing the start of something far heavier than teenage arrogance. Judy took a slow step forward, hands clasped behind her back. "You think being clever means being cruel." He opened his mouth, but she raised her hand, cutting him off without a word. "I'm not here to ruin you, Mr. Green," she said quietly. "I'm here to make you see yourself." The light seemed harsher now. Even the air felt thinner. Tyler shifted in his seat, his confidence starting to deflate under the weight of her gaze. Judge Judy pointed at the envelope. "That file," she said, "contains something you might want to take seriously." His smirk returned, weaker now but still present. "Yeah, what's that supposed to mean?" She leaned forward just slightly, enough for her words to pierce through his false grin. "It means, young man," she said, "before you find out what happens to you, you'll learn what you did to others." The crowd murmured again. The boy frowned, uncertain for the first time. Judge Judy's eyes never left him. "Tell me, Tyler," she asked, voice steady and cold, "do you even know what you did wrong?" The question hit harder than the gavel ever could. Tyler blinked, forcing out a laugh. "What I did wrong? I don't know, Your Honor. Maybe I offended the internet." A few nervous chuckles rippled through the gallery. Judge Judy didn't share them. "The internet," she repeated slowly, as if tasting the word. "So this isn't about one person, is it? It's about how you think the world works." She nodded to the bailiff, who dimmed the lights. The large courtroom monitor flickered to life, the blue glow washing over Tyler's smirk. "Let's watch your idea of entertainment," she said. A video loaded. A store counter. Harsh fluorescent light. A wrinkled woman behind the register, smiling politely at a customer, at Tyler. The sound crackled with laughter from whoever was filming. On screen, Tyler pretended to drop a bottle of juice, then shouted, "You made me spill it, Granny." His voice was mocking, loud. The woman's expression changed, confusion first, then hurt. The video cut to him laughing in her face, slow motion, subtitles flashing, "When old people forget their place." Gasps echoed through the courtroom. Judy didn't move. She just let it play, and every second of it, until the sound of Tyler's recorded laughter filled the room like static. The clip ended. Silence. Tyler shifted in his seat. "It was a joke," he muttered. "Everyone knew that." Judge Judy tilted her head. "Did she know?" "She didn't get hurt, it was just what?" Judy's voice sliced through him. "Just humiliation? Just cruelty? Just the internet watching you destroy someone's dignity for views?" Tyler looked down at his hands. His mother's sobbing breath broke the stillness behind him. The judge turned to the monitor again. "You think you're the only one who saw this?" "You're not. It's everywhere." She gestured to the bailiff, who tapped a remote. A new clip appeared. News segments, TikTok reposts, comment threads, laughter, emojis. Edits of Tyler's smirk replayed millions of times. A headline scrolled across the screen. "Teen's cruel prank on elderly clerk sparks outrage." Tyler's throat tightened. "I didn't mean—" "You meant to make people laugh," Judy interrupted. "And you did, at someone else's expense. You made the world smaller for her, and louder for yourself." The lights flicked back on. Tyler blinked in the brightness, as if coming out of a fog. Judge Judy sat back down, eyes unreadable. "You said no one got hurt. I'd like to test that theory." The clerk opened a side door. The sound of heels clicked softly against the courtroom floor. Every camera turned. An elderly woman entered, the same one from the video, walking slowly, clutching her purse like armor. Tyler froze. His bravado cracked, just slightly. Judge Judy's voice softened, but her words carried steel. "Mr. Green," she said, "let's hear what your joke did to the person who lived it." The courtroom door clicked shut behind her. The woman's steps were slow but steady, the faint rhythm of her cane echoing like a clock counting judgment. Tyler swallowed hard. The arrogance that had once filled every inch of his posture seemed to drain through the floor. The clerk guided her to the witness stand. Judge Judy stood, not in dramatics but in respect. "Ma'am, please take your time," she said gently. "We appreciate you being here today." The woman nodded, her voice barely above a whisper. "Thank you, Your Honor." The cameras panned closer. Her name tag read Margaret Ellis. In the viral video, it had been the object of cruel edits, turned into jokes, captions, memes. Now under the bright courtroom lights, it gleamed quietly like she was reclaiming it. Judge Judy's tone softened. "Mrs. Ellis, I understand this isn't easy, but I'd like you to tell the court, in your own words, how Mr. Green's actions affected you." Margaret's fingers trembled on the stand. I didn't know he was filming," she began. "He came in a few times before, always laughing with his friends. I thought he was just a kid trying to make me laugh." She paused. "Then one morning a neighbor's daughter showed me the video. My face was everywhere. People were calling me names online. Some came into the store just to mock me. My boss said it was bad for business." Her voice cracked. "After 40 years I lost my job." A collective hush fell over the room. Tyler's mother pressed a hand over her mouth. The bailiff shifted awkwardly. Even the cameramen hesitated to zoom in. Tyler's face flushed, but not from anger. From something he couldn't disguise anymore. Shame. "I tried to ignore it," Margaret continued, "but every time I went outside someone recognized me. They'd laugh, hold up their phones. My grandkids saw it at school. They said I looked stupid." She looked at Tyler now, directly, for the first time. Her eyes weren't angry. They were exhausted. "You made me afraid to go to work, Mr. Green. You made me afraid of people." Tyler's lips parted, but no words came out. Judge Judy didn't speak for several seconds. She let the silence do what her gavel could not, make the weight of those words sink in. Finally, she said, "Mrs. Ellis, you mentioned you lost your job. Did anyone ever reach out to apologize?" The woman shook her head slowly. "Not once." The camera zoomed on Tyler's face, his throat tightening, his eyes darting between the judge and the woman he'd turned into a punchline. Judy turned toward him, her tone low but firm. "Mr. Green, you wanted attention. Well, now you have it. Every person in this courtroom and beyond him is watching." "What do you have to say?" he stammered. I didn't mean to hurt her. It was supposed to be funny." "Everyone's doing it." "Everyone," she interrupted, "isn't you?" The boy's voice shrank into silence. Margaret looked at the judge. "I don't want revenge. she said. "I just want him to understand what he did." Judge Judy nodded slowly. "And he will." She turned back to Tyler, her expression unreadable. "You think this is over?" she said softly. "We're just getting started." The gavel's echo still lingered when Judge Judy leaned forward, elbows resting on the bench. "Mr. Green," she said, her voice steady, deliberate. "You wanted an audience? You've got one." The courtroom was silent except for the faint hum of cameras and the shifting of bodies in their seats. Tyler sat rigid now, hands clenched. His smirk had long vanished, replaced by something uncertain, uneasy. Judge Judy motioned toward the monitor again. "We're going to watch that video once more," she said. "But this time I want you to pay attention to something different." The bailiff dimmed the lights. The glow from the screen painted the courtroom in ghostly blue. The same footage began. Margaret behind the counter, the laughter, the shove, the sneer. But this time Judy's command carried an edge. "No talking," she said. "Just watch." The laughter in the video, once carefree, now sounded cruel. The moment froze mid-frame. Margaret's startled eyes caught forever in humiliation. The sound of teenage laughter filled the room like static. Tyler's jaw tightened. He shifted in his seat. Glancing toward the crowd, people weren't laughing anymore. Even the cameras seemed to record differently now. Not entertainment, but evidence. Judge Judy didn't look away from the screen. "Every second of that," she said quietly. "You recorded. You edited. You posted. You watched her face turn into your success." Tyler swallowed hard. "I didn't think—" She raised her hand sharply. "Exactly." The lights flicked back on. The courtroom seemed smaller, tighter. "Thinking," Judy said, pacing slowly, "is what separates cruelty from mistake. And right now, Mr. Green, I'm still deciding which one you belong to." The tension crackled. The audience leaned in. Tyler's mother sat rigid, her eyes glassy. Judge Judy gestured to the clerk. "Play it again." Tyler flinched. "Do we have to?" Her tone was pure ice. "You enjoyed it once. Let's see if you still do." The video replayed. This time slower. Each frame stretched out until every sneer, every mock gesture felt unbearable. Tyler's breathing quickened. He turned his face away. "Look at it," Judy ordered. "This is you. This is the version of yourself you thought the world should see." He stared. Silent. When the video ended again, the screen went black, but the silence it left behind felt heavier than any sound. Judge Judy stepped closer. "You said no one got hurt, but you're wrong." She lost her job, her peace, her dignity. "You lost something too, your character." The boy's shoulders sagged. "I didn't know it'd go that far," he whispered. "No," Judy said. "You didn't care if it did." The crowd stirred. Some nodded. Others stared at Tyler like he was finally visible, not as a performer but as a culprit. Then Judge Judy's tone shifted, softer but colder. "And what bothers me most, Mr. Green, is that I've seen another video." Tyler looked up, startled. "What, another one?" Her gaze was surgical. "Yes, one that wasn't meant for the internet." He blinked. "That's impossible." There's only one." Judy turned toward the bailiff. "Bring me the evidence." A manila folder was handed to her. Inside, a USB drive gleamed under the lights. She held it up for everyone to see. "This was sent to my office anonymously," she said. "And it shows what you didn't want anyone to see, the planning." The laughing. "The part where you told your friends, and I quote, 'Let's make the old lady cry.'" The courtroom gasped. Tyler's face drained of color. Judge Judy leaned forward, her tone like thunder wrapped in calm. "So tell me, Mr. Green," she said, eyes locked on him, "was that a joke too?" Tyler's lips parted, but no sound came out. The courtroom was utterly still. Even the buzz of the lights seemed to hold its breath. Judge Judy's eyes didn't waver. They pinned him there in the space between arrogance and exposure. What video? He finally managed, his voice small now, stripped of its earlier swagger. Judy handed the USB to the bailiff. "Play the footage." The screen flickered again, the same dim blue light filling the room. The image was shaky, handheld. Laughter, teenage, reckless, bled through the audio. Tyler appeared on screen, grinning into the camera. "Okay, listen," his voice said. "We're going to make the old lady freak out. Just keep rolling no matter what." Another voice, Evans, his friend's, he sounded nervous. "Dude, are you sure?" Tyler's voice laughed. "Yeah, man." "She'll cry. That's the goal." The words hit like a physical blow. Gasps rippled through the gallery. Tyler's mother buried her face in her hands. Even the bailiff looked down, jaw tight. On screen, Tyler gestured toward his mother's minivan in the background. "After this, we'll upload it right away. I want that thumbnail, me laughing, her crying." The footage cut out. The silence that followed wasn't just quiet, it was judgment itself. Judy's expression hardened. "So this wasn't spontaneous cruelty," she said evenly. "It was scripted." Tyler stared at the table. It was just—" She cut him off with a raised hand. "A joke." He froze. "A joke doesn't require rehearsal," she continued, voice low but razor-sharp. "It doesn't involve a director, a camera operator, and intent to harm." His mother whispered, trembling. "Tyler, please stop lying." The boy's voice cracked. "Mom," Judge Judy turned toward her. "Mrs. Green, you knew about this video." The mother shook her head quickly, eyes wet. "No, I thought it was all just silly pranks. He told me it was harmless." Judy's gaze returned to Tyler. "You told your own mother it was harmless while planning someone's humiliation. Tell me, what does that make you?" He couldn't answer. His throat constricted. The once defiant teenager looked smaller now, his body folding in on itself. The judge exhaled slowly, almost like she pitied him. Almost. "I've seen hundreds of arrogant young men in this courtroom," she said. "But arrogance fades. Character remains. Right now, all I see is a boy trying to convince himself he's still in control." The silence stretched. Tyler's leg bounced under the table. The cameras zoomed closer, catching every twitch, every swallow, every flicker of guilt clawing at his face. Then Judy spoke again, quietly, almost conversationally. "There's another name in this footage," she said. "The person behind the camera. Evan Mills." Tyler's head shot up. "No, he's not. He's been subpoenaed," Judy interrupted. "And he's here today." The gallery stirred. Whispers flooded the space. The bailiff opened the side door. A tall, thin boy entered, clutching his backpack. His eyes darted between Tyler and the judge. "Evan Mills," Judy said. "Please take the stand." Evan hesitated, guilt written across his face. "Yes, Your Honor." Judge Judy folded her hands. "Let's find out who was really pulling the strings and who was following." Tyler whispered something under his breath, but the microphone caught it anyway. "He betrayed me." Judy's eyes flicked toward him. "No, Mr. Green," she said. "He told the truth." Evan's sneakers squeaked softly against the courtroom floor as he walked to the stand. He looked like a ghost of guilt, eyes sunken, fingers fidgeting, head bowed low. Tyler wouldn't look at him. He just stared straight ahead, jaw locked so tightly his teeth could have cracked. Judge Judy folded her hands, her gaze calm but surgical. "Mr. Mills, do you understand why you're here?" Evan nodded. "Yes, Your Honor." "You filmed the video in question?" "Yes." His voice was barely audible. "I filmed it. And I sent the other clip." A murmur ran through the crowd. Judy held up a hand, silence restored in a heartbeat. "Tell this court why you did that," she said. Evan exhaled shakily. "Because it wasn't funny anymore." He looked toward Tyler then, his best friend, the boy who'd once ruled the hallways with bravado and followers. "Tyler told me to record everything. Said it'd make us famous. Said no one would care about some old lady." His throat bobbed. "But when she started crying, I wanted to stop. He wouldn't let me." Tyler's head snapped toward him. "That's a lie." Judy's gavel struck once, sharp as a whip crack. "You will not interrupt a witness, Mr. Green," Evan swallowed. "He said if I didn't post it, he'd tell everyone I chickened out and that I wasn't loyal. So I posted it for him. Then it blew up. And when I tried to take it down, he threatened to leak another video we made." Gasps. The gallery leaned forward as if drawn by gravity. Tyler's hands shook. "You were part of it too," he blurted out. "Don't act innocent." Evan nodded, tears spilling down his face. "Yeah, I was. And I hate that I was." Judge Judy's voice softened, but it carried power. "So why send me the hidden footage, Mr. Mills?" Evan wiped his eyes. "Because I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing her crying. I thought maybe, if someone like you saw it, maybe you'd make it stop." Judy stared at him for a long moment. "You did the right thing, though it came late." She turned toward Tyler. "Do you know why this young man has tears in his eyes, Mr. Green?" Tyler didn't answer. His chest rose and fell too fast. "Because guilt," Judy said, "is what you feel when your conscience wakes up." Tyler's composure cracked. He slammed his palms on the table. You don't get it. Everyone online loved it. Everyone's making videos worse than mine. And yet, Judy replied, her tone slicing through the noise, only one of you is sitting here being forced to face it. The boy's rage faltered. His breathing hitched, emotion finally bleeding through defiance. His mother whispered, "Please, Tyler." "Stop," Evan sniffed, still trembling. "I didn't come here to ruin you," he said quietly. "I came because I couldn't live with it anymore." For the first time, Tyler's glare softened, confusion flickering behind his eyes. Judge Judy leaned forward. "Mr. Mills, you may step down. Your honesty will be noted." As Evan left the stand, Tyler muttered bitterly, "You betrayed me." Judy's response came like a verdict. "No, Mr. Green, he redeemed himself." The courtroom was silent again. Every camera seemed to hold on Tyler's face, a portrait of collapsing pride. Finally, Judy stood. Her robe caught the light like black steel. "You're not the victim here," she said firmly. "And before this day ends, you'll learn exactly who is." She raised the gavel. "Enough." Crack. The echo rang like judgment itself. "Be honest. If you were in Judge Judy's place, would you show mercy to a kid like Tyler, or let him face every consequence of his cruelty?" The gavel's echo faded into stillness, leaving only the sound of quiet breathing and the faint hum of studio lights. Judge Judy looked over her glasses at the young man in front of her, his shoulders stiff, eyes glassy, chest still rising with a leftover pulse of anger. Then, with disarming calm, she turned her gaze to the woman sitting in the front row. "Mrs. Green," she said, "would you please step forward?" Tyler's mother froze, her hands gripping the purse in her lap. "Your Honor, is that really necessary?" "Yes," Judy replied. "It's time this court heard the truth not just from the boy, but from the woman who raised him," the audience murmured as she approached the stand. The bailiff helped her up, and when she settled in, her eyes never met her son's. Judge Judy leaned forward slightly. "You've sat there quietly all morning, Mrs. Green. You've watched your son's actions unfold before the world. Tell me, when did you stop being surprised by his behavior?" The question sliced through the silence. She began, her voice trembling. "I didn't know how to stop him." Judy tilted her head. "Didn't know or didn't want to?" Tears welled in the woman's eyes. "He was just a kid. He liked to make people laugh. I thought it was harmless. The teachers called me in a few times, said he was bullying other students, mocking them online. But I paid for his suspension to stay quiet. I thought I was protecting him." Her confession sent a visible ripple through the gallery. Tyler's eyes widened. "Mom, what?" She turned toward him, hands shaking. "I thought if I kept covering for you, you'd learn better on your own. But you didn't. You got worse." Judge Judy nodded slowly, her expression unreadable but her eyes sharp. "So for years you've been cleaning up his messes, buying him out of consequences, teaching him that accountability is optional." Mrs. Green's voice cracked. "I just didn't want him to hate me." Judy's tone softened, but not in pity. "He didn't need you to protect him from consequences. He needed you to let them happen." Tyler's face turned red. "You're blaming her now?" he snapped. "She's the only one who ever—" "Stop," Judy said, her voice a quiet command. "No one here is your shield anymore. Not your mother. Not your friends. Not the audience." Tyler's defiance wavered. He sank lower in his chair, eyes darting between his mother and the judge, realization dawning that the walls of his world, the ones built from excuses and indulgence, were closing in. Judy turned back to the mother. "Do you love your son, Mrs. Green?" "Of course," she whispered. "Then prove it," Judy said, "by letting him face what he's become." The mother wiped her eyes, nodding. "Yes, Your Honor." Judy exhaled, the gavel resting lightly in her hand. "This isn't just about punishment," she said. "It's about recognition. Until he sees what he's done and what he's lost, no verdict matters." Then she leaned back and gave a small, precise nod to the bailiff. "Prepare the file," she ordered. "We'll resume in 10 minutes." As the audience stirred, Tyler looked toward his mother for comfort, but she wouldn't meet his eyes. For the first time, he was truly alone. Judge Judy rose from the bench, her robe trailing behind her like a closing curtain. And as she passed the evidence table, she whispered to the bailiff, "Bring the letters. It's time he reads what he's never cared to hear." The courtroom lights brightened once more as the recess ended. The audience returned to their seats, their voices hushed, the atmosphere heavier than before. It no longer felt like a TV show. It felt like a reckoning. When Judge Judy re-entered, the entire room instinctively quieted. Her robe rippled slightly as she sat down, the gavel resting neatly beside a new stack of files. At the top of the pile sat the same sealed envelope from the beginning, now joined by a thick folder stamped in red. Community Impact Statements. Tyler glanced at it, frowning. What is that? Judy didn't answer immediately. Instead, she signaled to the bailiff. Mr. Bird, please distribute the letters. The bailiff began handing out copies, one to Tyler, one to his mother, one to the clerk, and one placed delicately in front of the judge herself. The faint rustle of paper filled the silence. These, Judy began, are letters from people who watched your video, teachers, students, parents, and some, Mr. Green, from people you've never met, but who were affected by what you did. Tyler's confusion flickered into disbelief. Affected? It was just online. Judy raised her hand. Read the first one. He hesitated. For your honor, out loud the boy swallowed and began. Dear court, I saw Tyler's prank video online. My daughter is 16 and works at a grocery store. She cried after seeing how the woman was treated. She said, that could be me. We deleted our social media accounts that night. We were afraid of people like him. His voice faltered. The words seemed to grow heavier with every line. Judy's expression stayed calm and unreadable, but her eyes softened with something close to sorrow. Next one, she said. Tyler turned the page. From Mrs. Torres, local teacher. I showed your clip to my students as an example of digital cruelty. We discussed empathy. Most of them were horrified and but a few laughed. Thank you for reminding us that we have work to do. He stopped, exhaling shakily. Can I stop now? Judy leaned forward. No, keep reading. He flipped another page. His voice was quieter now. From Mr. Jenkins. I'm a widower. I watched your video of that woman, and it reminded me of how my wife used to tremble when kids mocked her age. You don't know what kind of ghosts you wake in people when you mock kindness. The courtroom was silent, except for his trembling voice. Even the cameramen lowered their equipment slightly. Judy spoke gently but firmly. You see, Mr. Green, your joke didn't just humiliate one woman. It infected others. Cruelty spreads faster than laughter. Tyler's eyes glistened. I didn't mean for all that, she interrupted. Intention doesn't erase consequence. He closed the folder, pushing it away like it burned. Why are you doing this? He asked, voice cracking. I get it, okay? I messed up. Judy's tone softened, but her words cut deep. No, Mr. Green, you're beginning to feel it. That's not the same as understanding it. She reached for the original sealed envelope, the one that had hung over the trial like a threat. With precise movements, she slit it open and held up a single sheet of paper. This, she said, is a motion to recommend you be tried as an adult for defamation and harassment. I wrote it myself, and before this hearing began, the crowd gasped. Tyler froze. His mother whispered his name almost inaudibly. But, Judy continued, her voice lowering to near silence, I haven't signed it. The paper trembled slightly in her hand, as if balanced between justice and mercy. Because before I decide what kind of punishment you deserve, she said, I need to see whether there's still something human left in you. Tyler's breathing hitched. His defiance shattered into confusion. What do you mean? Judy's eyes met his, unflinching, steady but not cruel. There's one more person you owe an apology to, she said. She's waiting outside, the audience murmured. The bailiff stepped toward the side door, hand on the handle. Tyler turned, fear flickering for the first time. Who? Judy's voice dropped to a whisper. Someone whose life you affected more than you realize. The bailiff's hand lingered on the side door handle, the entire courtroom holding its breath. Even the audience seemed to stop moving, as if waiting for a verdict that hadn't yet been spoken. Judge Judy didn't look at Tyler. Not yet. Her eyes stayed fixed on the door. Bring her in. The bailiff nodded and opened it. Soft footsteps echoed across the polished floor. A small figure appeared in the doorway, a girl, maybe 12, clutching a worn schoolbook to her chest. She hesitated at the threshold, her gaze darting nervously toward the cameras. Tyler's face went pale. Maya? He whispered. The young girl froze for a second, then offered a timid nod. Hi, Tyler, the audience murmured. Judge Judy's voice cut through the whispers like a blade of calm. "Please step forward, Miss Green." Maya approached the witness stand, her backpack slung over one shoulder. The bailiff helped her sit down, his voice gentle for once. Judy leaned forward, tone soft. "You understand why you're here, sweetheart?" Maya nodded slowly. "Yes, Mum." "Then tell us," Judy said. "In your own words." Maya's fingers twisted in her lap. "It's about the video." Tyler shook his head. "Judge, please, she doesn't need to be—" "Sit down, Mr. Green," Judy said without looking at him. "Your sister deserves her voice." The boy sank back into his chair, eyes wide, his bravado gone. Maya took a shaky breath. "After everyone saw the video, people at my school started making fun of me. They said I was mini-mean Tyler. They showed it on their phones. Some teachers even looked at me different." Her voice cracked. "They laughed at me, too." Tyler's jaw tightened. Guilt clawed across his face. "I told them you weren't like that at home," Maya continued, tears gathering. "I told them you were funny and nice. But then I saw your other videos, the ones where you made fun of people. You weren't pretending." The words hit him harder than any gavel. He blinked fast, his chest rising like he couldn't breathe. Maya looked at the judge now. "It was hard, Your Honor. People posted my picture next to his, said our families messed up. I didn't go to school for a week." Judy's eyes softened. "You've been very brave, Maya. Thank you for telling us." Tyler tried to speak, but Judy's hand lifted, silencing him. "Maya," she said, "if your brother were here right now, not the one who made those videos, but the one you remember, what would you want to say to him?" Maya turned to her brother, voice trembling but honest. "I miss when you were nice, when you made me laugh because you were funny, not because someone else got hurt. I just want my brother back." The sound of a sniffle came from the audience. Tyler's eyes glistened. For the first time, he didn't fight the emotion. He let it come. "I'm sorry, Maya," he whispered. "I didn't know." But Judy's tone turned firm again. "Don't tell her you're sorry. Show her." Maya wiped her tears and nodded as the bailiff helped her down. The cameras followed her small figure as she left through the side door, the same door she'd entered from. Her steps quieter now, but far heavier. When she was gone, the silence left behind was suffocating. Judge Judy spoke softly, but every word landed with precision. "You wanted fame, Mr. Green. Now the people who love you most can't even say your name without shame." Tyler stared at the table, shoulders trembling. His voice barely escaped his throat. "I didn't mean for her to get hurt." Judy leaned forward. "And yet she did. Because cruelty doesn't stop where you aim it. It spreads." The gavel rested in her hand again, tapping once against the wood, each strike like a heartbeat. "You think this is rock bottom, Mr. Green," she said. "We're not there yet. Not until you decide to stop digging." Her voice softened, but her eyes stayed unflinching. "You said earlier you didn't know what you did wrong. Do you know now?" Tyler nodded through quiet tears. "Yes, ma'am." The judge studied him for a long, silent moment, as if measuring the weight of that single word. Then she sat back. "Good," she said, "because what comes next will decide whether those tears mean anything. If your actions humiliated your own family, could you still defend them as just jokes? Or does the joke die when the pain hits home?" The courtroom felt heavier now, not from noise but from everything left unsaid. The cameras hummed softly, but even they seemed hesitant to intrude on what had become a deeply human moment. Judge Judy leaned back in her chair, studying the young man before her. His head hung low, eyes rimmed red. The defiance was gone, replaced by something raw, unfiltered, remorse still wrestling with pride. "Mr. Green," she said quietly, "I'm giving you one chance. No cameras, no audience reaction, no act. Tell me, what were you chasing?" Tyler hesitated. His throat moved, but no words came at first. Then, after a long breath, he said, "I just wanted people to know who I was." The words came out small, almost childlike. "Fame?" Judy asked. He nodded. "Yeah, kinda. Everyone online's doing it. You either get noticed or you don't exist." The judge's expression softened, not with sympathy but understanding. "And you thought cruelty would make you visible." Tyler's voice trembled. "When people laughed, it felt like I mattered. Like I wasn't invisible anymore." Judy's tone stayed calm, but her eyes sharpened. "You mistook attention for worth. That's not uncommon. But tell me, did you feel proud when you watched her cry?" He shook his head quickly. "No. Not proud, just—" He stopped. The silence forced the truth out. It made me feel powerful. That confession hung in the air like smoke. The audience was motionless. Even the bailiff, usually stoic, shifted his weight, uncomfortable in the stillness. Judge Judy leaned forward slightly. Power without empathy, Mr. Green, isn't strength. It's corruption, and you were too young to notice how quickly it infected you. Tyler rubbed at his eyes. His voice cracked. I didn't know how to stop. Every video got more views than the last. People cheered for me. I thought that meant I was doing something right. The judge's reply was quiet, measured. And what about when the cheering stopped? He looked up slowly. It's quiet. Really quiet. For a long moment no one spoke. The tension wasn't angry anymore. It was hollow, aching. Judge Judy rested her hands on the bench. Do you see now why you're here, Mr. Green? Not because of one cruel act, but because you built a version of yourself that was hollow, and you filled it with applause. He nodded weakly. I don't even know who I am anymore. Her voice softened just enough to land like truth rather than punishment. That's the first honest thing you've said today. His mother covered her face, crying quietly. The courtroom remained still, as though everyone feared breaking the fragile humanity that had finally surfaced. Then Judy leaned forward, her tone lowering to that deliberate cadence only she could manage. You said you wanted people to remember you, Tyler. Let's talk about how they will. Tyler blinked, confused. What do you mean? She gestured to the file on her desk, the thick red-stamped folder that had haunted the hearing all day. Legacy, she said simply. You've already written yours in the eyes of everyone who's ever seen your cruelty. The question is, are you done writing? He swallowed hard, voice trembling. I don't want to be remembered for that. Judy's gaze locked on him, grew steady, unwavering. Then prove it. Her words carried finality, but also something that felt startlingly like faith. The next decision I make, she said, won't be about your punishment. It'll be about your potential. I hope for your sake, there's still something in you worth saving. Tyler didn't respond. He just nodded, silent tears running down his face. No longer performative, no longer forced. Judge Judy tapped the gavel lightly. Once a sound more like punctuation than power. Court will review new evidence before the next recess, she said. But before we proceed, I have one more document to examine. She gestured to the bailiff. Bring me the confidential file. The audience murmured, curious. Tyler looked up, confused. What file? Judy's tone turned cryptic. One that explains why arrogance runs in your blood, Mr. Green. He blinked, uncertain. But the look in her eyes said it all. This wasn't over. She placed the folder in front of her. The words juvenile records confidential stamped across the front, and as she lifted it, she said quietly, This will tell us where this really began. The thick confidential file landed on the bench with a weight that seemed to ripple through the room. Even before Judge Judy opened it, the audience could feel that this wasn't just about Tyler anymore. Something deeper was buried in those pages. Judy took her time, removing her glasses, flipping through the first few sheets. Each page she turned felt like another layer of truth peeling back. Then she looked up. Mr. Green, she said, her tone uncharacteristically soft. You said earlier you didn't know who you are anymore. Let's find out together. Tyler straightened slightly, wary. What's in that file? Judy's eyes flicked down to the documents. Your history. Or rather, your family's. His confusion deepened. My family? Yes, she said, lifting the first page. I requested access to your juvenile record, along with relevant background. What I didn't expect was to find another name attached to yours. Tyler frowned. Whose name? Your father's. The air thickened instantly. His mother's breath caught behind him, hands gripping her purse so tightly her knuckles turned white. Judy continued, her voice steady but deliberate. It says here that 12 years ago, a man named Richard Green, your father, appeared before a judge in a defamation case. He was accused of publicly humiliating a co-worker on live television. Does that sound familiar? Tyler's mouth opened, but no words came. His mother whispered, Please, Your Honor. Judy didn't stop. He mocked a woman during a local broadcast, called her names, made her cry. The clip went viral before viral was even a word people used. She glanced up. You were 5 years old at the time. The courtroom was silent except for the faint click of a camera refocusing. Judy leaned back, voice calm but cutting. It seems, Mr. Green, cruelty runs in your family's history. Broadcasted, consumed, forgotten. You didn't invent the performance. You inherited it. Tyler's face fell. I didn't know, Judy nodded. Children rarely do. They learn what they see, and what you saw was your father being rewarded for humiliation. His mother began to cry. I tried to protect him from that man, she whispered. I divorced Richard so Tyler wouldn't become like him. But by shielding him from consequence, Judy said quietly, you recreated the cycle. The showmanship, the arrogance, the illusion that shame only exists for others. Tyler wiped his face with the back of his hand. He left when I was 7. I barely remember him. Maybe, Judy said, but his shadow remembers you. That line landed like a blow. The boy slumped, staring at the wood grain on the table. Judy's tone softened now, not out of lenience but recognition. What your father did cost him his reputation. He never recovered. But unlike him, you're standing here young enough to learn what he never could. Tyler's voice cracked. I don't want to be him, the judge nodded, then stopped following his script. The audience was utterly still. The moral weight in the air felt almost cinematic, as if every word was being carved into something larger than this moment. Judy folded her hands. Do you know what I see when I look at you, Tyler? Not a monster. Not even a lost cause. I see a boy standing exactly where his father once stood, but with one advantage. He looked up, eyes wet. What advantage? Her expression softened, sternness tempered by humanity. You still have a chance to become better. The silence that followed was long, emotional, and real. For once, no one looked toward the cameras. The show had turned into something else, with a mirror. Finally, Judy closed the folder, the sound like a chapter ending. She met his eyes. You can't erase the blood you come from, but you can choose what kind of legacy you leave behind. Tyler nodded, tears falling freely now. I'll try, he whispered. Judy gave the faintest nod in return. Trying isn't enough. Doing is. Then she turned to the bailiff. Clear the gallery. We'll reconvene for sentencing. The audience began to file out quietly, their whispers replaced by the distant echo of footsteps. Tyler sat frozen, hollow but honest, and just before the cameras cut, Judge Judy looked at him once more. Your father's arrogance destroyed lives, she said. Yours doesn't have to. The gavel struck, one sharp echoing sound, ending not just the session but the inheritance of cruelty. When the courtroom doors reopened, the air felt transformed, thinner, quieter, almost sacred. Gone were the murmurs and whispers. Gone was the gawking thrill of a viral spectacle. The only sound was the steady rhythm of the gavel striking wood, as Judge Judy took her seat once more. Tyler stood as ordered. His mother remained seated behind him, hands clasped together like a silent prayer. His face looked years older than when the hearing began, the same boy but drained of arrogance, stripped down to what was left after truth. Judge Judy studied him for a moment, then spoke. Mr. Green, I have reviewed the testimony, the footage, and the impact of your actions. You are guilty of defamation and emotional distress, yes. But more than that, you are guilty of indifference. Her words were calm but heavy, like stone falling into still water. You didn't just humiliate a stranger, she continued. You infected others with your behavior. You set an example for cruelty to masquerade as confidence. And the price of that is not paid in dollars. It's paid in conscience. Tyler lowered his head. His voice was hoarse. I know, Your Honor. I don't think you do, she said quietly. Not yet. She gestured to the bailiff, who placed a thick white envelope in front of her, the same one that had haunted every moment of this hearing. You remember this, Judy said, tapping it once. The motion I could sign to have you tried as an adult. Tyler swallowed hard. His mother gasped softly behind him. Judy held the envelope up, her gaze unflinching. This has sat on my desk since the start of this hearing. And if you had kept that smirk for even one more minute, I would have signed it. The courtroom was utterly still. But, she said, lowering it, justice is not revenge. It's responsibility. She set the envelope aside. Therefore, instead of adult charges, I'm sentencing you to 6 months of mandatory community service, under supervision, at local senior centers and anti-bullying organizations. You will listen to every story. You will write a reflection for each week, and you will read those words aloud to people who've been humiliated online. Tyler blinked. I can do that. You will do that, she corrected. And if you fail, if you treat it like a joke, this motion, she tapped the envelope again, will no longer remain unsigned. His chest rose and fell. Yes, Your Honor. Her expression softened, only slightly. You wanted fame for hurting others. Now you'll earn dignity by helping them. She turned to the clerk. Make sure his records are sealed if, and only if, he completes his service with integrity. The clerk nodded. Judy leaned forward, resting her hands on the bench. Mr. Green, she said, her voice dropping to near silence, you can't undo what you did, but you can decide what comes next. The question is, will you change because you want redemption, or because you're afraid of punishment? Tyler met her eyes for the first time. Because I don't want to be him, he whispered. Judge Judy nodded once, slow, deliberate. Then start acting like it. The gavel struck once, twice. The official order of sentence recorded. And then, in a softer tone meant only for him, she added, I'll be watching, Mr. Green. Don't make me regret believing in you. The cameras lingered on his face. The boy who once laughed at judgment, now quietly absorbing it. His mother's hand brushed his shoulder, trembling, and on the desk before him, the once feared envelope now lay flat and open, no longer a threat, but a promise, one he'd have to keep. Himself, the first day of Tyler's community, service didn't begin with cameras or applause, only the quiet buzz of fluorescent lights and the faint scent of antiseptic that clung to the halls of the Westwood Community Center. He stood by the entrance, holding a clipboard that felt heavier than it should. The sign taped to the front door read, Anti-bullying outreach, volunteers welcome. It wasn't what he'd imagined punishment to look like. No courtroom, no audience. Just time, slow, relentless, and unfiltered. The coordinator, a middle-aged woman with calm eyes, smiled faintly. You must be the new volunteer Judge Judy sent. Tyler nodded awkwardly. Yeah, that's me. She handed him a stack of forms. Then let's start by listening. Listening. That became his first sentence. He sat at a round table with a dozen others, victims of cyberbullying. Former bullies trying to reform, even a few quiet teens who hadn't spoken since they'd been humiliated online. The stories were raw, some tearful, others numb. One girl described how a viral joke about her weight nearly drove her to drop out of school. Another boy admitted he'd been both victim and villain. Every story felt like a mirror held up to him. Each reflection stripped another layer of the cocky teen who'd once thought pain was funny. At night, Tyler wrote letters as ordered, not to the court, but to the people he'd hurt. Mrs. Ellis, I don't expect forgiveness. I just want you to know I understand now. The laugh wasn't worth what it cost you. Weeks passed. Slowly, the arrogance that had once powered his every word began to dissolve. He still felt guilt, but it no longer paralyzed him. It propelled him. He started cleaning the senior center's courtyard, fixing broken shelves, helping elderly residents with their phones. Some recognized him. Hey, one woman said gently. Aren't you that boy from TV? He nodded, uneasy. Yeah, I used to be. Used to be, she repeated with a knowing smile. That's a good start. The cameras that once hunted him were gone now. The only recording was the one inside his conscience. Every act of kindness, every apology, whispered too quietly for the world to hear. By the third month, Tyler began leading a small workshop for teens. The irony wasn't lost on him. The same boy who'd gone viral for mockery now teaching empathy to kids who followed his footsteps online. He showed them the clip that ruined him, not as a badge, but as a warning. When the video ended, the room stayed silent. Then he said simply, That's who I was. Don't become your worst moment like I did. Something changed in the air that day. The laughter that once echoed from cruelty now turned to quiet reflection. One evening, as he was sweeping the hallway, a familiar voice spoke behind him. Careful with that broom, hotshot. You might go viral again. Tyler froze. Slowly he turned. Margaret Ellis, the woman from the video, stood in the doorway, holding a small paper bag and wearing a cautious smile. Mrs. Ellis, he breathed. She stepped closer. I heard you've been working here. Thought I'd see for myself, he nodded, heart pounding. I didn't think you'd want to. Her eyes softened. You'd be surprised what time can do. The boy who once laughed at her now couldn't find words at all. The silence stretched, fragile and full. Tyler's broom stopped mid-sweep. The faint scrape of bristles against tile was replaced by the sound of his heart hammering in his chest. There she was, Margaret Ellis, the woman he'd once mocked, humiliated, and turned into a meme. But there was no anger in her eyes now. Only an impossible mix of calm and quiet sadness. The boy who once sneered at her couldn't lift his gaze for more than a second. "I don't know what to say," he murmured. "You could start with hello," she said softly. He swallowed, nodding. "Hi, Mrs. Ellis," she smiled faintly. "Hi, Tyler." The room felt too small for the weight between them. The sunlight through the window fractured across the floor, dust motes swirling in the stillness. She set the paper bag on the table. "I brought lemon muffins. The ladies in my group wanted to thank the volunteers." He hesitated. "For letting me work here?" "For showing up," she corrected gently. "Most people don't." Tyler's throat tightened. "You didn't have to come." "I know," she said. "But I wanted to see if what Judge Judy said was true." He looked up. "What did she say?" "That sometimes," Margaret said, "the same hands that cause pain can learn to heal it." Her words cut through the air, not cruelly, but cleanly, like truth finding its rightful place. She studied him for a moment. "You're different." "I'm trying to be. I can see that." He blinked fast, trying to keep his voice steady. "I never meant to ruin your life. I was stupid. I thought if people laughed, I mattered. But I made you small to make myself big." She stepped closer. "And now?" He exhaled shakily. "Now I just want to be someone my sister doesn't have to defend." For the first time, Margaret smiled, not wide but genuine. "So you've already started." The quiet stretched again. Then she opened the paper bag, offering him one of the muffins. "Go on, it's safe. I promise." He laughed under his breath, out in a real laugh, small and human. "Guess I deserve that." "No," she said. "Oh, you deserve a chance." He took the muffin, his hands trembling slightly. "Thank you." As he bit into it, the faint taste of lemon and sugar filled the silence. Simple, honest, undramatic, but something in his chest eased for the first time in months. Margaret turned to leave, but paused at the doorway. "You know," she said, glancing back, "that video of you talking to the kids last week, it's making the rounds." He stiffened. "What?" "No, not again." "This time," she said, smiling gently, "they're calling it the teen who owned up." He blinked, stunned. "You saw it?" "I did," she said. "And for once I didn't cry watching you." Tyler's lips trembled. "Thank you," he whispered. "Don't thank me," she said. "Thank yourself for changing the ending." The door closed behind her. The sound echoed like a full stop on a long sentence that had finally found its period. Tyler stood there for a long time, staring at the half-eaten muffin, the light through the window catching on the silver cross around his neck, a small gift from his mother the day he started his service. He smiled faintly, the corners of his eyes wet, because maybe redemption wasn't loud. Maybe it was just a quiet conversation, a shared pastry, and the choice to be better tomorrow. As he turned back to his broom, the faint ping of a notification came from the office computer. His workshop video had hit 1 million views, but this time, the comments were different. "This kid gets it. Judge Judy was right. Sometimes people really do change." Tyler looked at the screen, then out the window, whispering almost to himself, "Yeah, sometimes they do. Would you forgive someone like Tyler after seeing his transformation, or should consequences always outweigh redemption?" Months later, the same courtroom stood bathed in soft morning light, calmer now, stripped of the noise and spectacle that had once made it feel like a stage. The audience was smaller. The cameras were fewer. But the tension, quiet and solemn, still lingered in the wood grain of the benches and the steel edge of the judge's gavel. Tyler Green stood once more before Judge Judy, not as a defendant this time, but as a young man ready to account for what came after punishment. He stood taller now, posture deliberate, hands clasped in front of him. His hoodie was gone, replaced by a neatly pressed shirt. His eyes, once bright with arrogance, carried something deeper. Clarity. Judge Judy glanced at the report before her, flipping a single page. "Mr. Green," she began, "I've read every entry in your file. Every letter you wrote. Every reflection you submitted." Her voice carried neither warmth nor hostility, only truth. "In the last 6 months, you've completed 380 hours of service. You've mentored 43 teens, led anti-bullying sessions, and volunteered at 3 senior facilities. And in your final report you wrote, She looked down at the page. I used to think being seen meant being powerful. Now I know being understood is what makes you real. Tyler nodded quietly. Yes, Your Honor, I meant it. Judge Judy regarded him for a long, unreadable moment. Then she leaned forward slightly. What did you learn? He took a breath, his voice steady but soft. That cruelty doesn't disappear when the video ends. It stays with people, it echoes. I thought I was just joking, but what I really was hiding. She tilted her head. Hiding from what? He hesitated. From feeling small. From not being enough. The judge's gaze softened, barely perceptible but real. And do you still feel that way? He shook his head. Not anymore. Now, when I help someone, when I see them smile because they feel seen, that's when I matter. Not when they laugh at pain, the audience. Mostly community members and a few familiar faces sat still, the gravity of his words hanging in the air like the quiet after a storm. Judge Judy placed the report down and folded her hands. Mr. Green, justice was never meant to humiliate you. It was meant to wake you up. And from where I'm sitting, it seems it has. He blinked, his throat tightening. Thank you, Your Honor. She nodded slowly. You've completed your service successfully. Your record will be sealed. But I want you to remember something long after these cameras shut off. He looked up. Yes, ma'am. Forgiveness, she said, is not a trophy. It's a responsibility. You've earned it. Now live like you deserve it. Tyler swallowed hard, emotion glinting in his eyes. I will. Judy gave the faintest of smiles, that rare, almost imperceptible curve of approval that told everyone the lesson had landed. Then I'll consider this case closed, she said. Not because justice was served, but because growth was proven. The gavel struck once, sharp, final cleansing. As the crowd began to rise, Margaret Ellis appeared briefly in the doorway, smiling proudly before slipping away. His mother hugged him, whispering something only a mother could. I'm proud of you, baby. For the first time, I'm proud of you for the right reasons. Tyler nodded, tears in his eyes. He turned back toward the bench where Judge Judy was already stacking papers. Thank you, Your Honor, he said again, this time with a quiet reverence that made even the bailiff pause. She didn't look up, just waved a dismissive hand. Don't thank me, Mr. Green. Thank the version of yourself that decided to show up. He smiled through the tears. I will. As he walked out of the courtroom, the light through the hallway windows caught his face, older, wiser, and free. Outside, the cameras waited. But this time he didn't flinch. He simply looked into the lens, calm and steady. Anne said to a reporter who asked if he regretted everything, No, because it made me understand that humility hurts, but it heals too. The clip would air that night, shared millions of times again. But now for the first time the comments would read differently. Redemption is real. Judge Judy changed him. We need more endings like this. And as the sun dipped behind the courthouse, the gavel's echo still seemed to linger, not as punishment, but as a promise that even the arrogant can learn grace when truth is allowed to speak. Justice isn't loud. It doesn't need applause. True justice whispers through change, when arrogance finally learns humility, and the mocker becomes the man who listens,